Something that comes up a lot when I do wine tastings and when I've spoke to a lot of people at events about Moldovan wine is just a lot of people don't know anything about the country. They don't know anything about the history of the winemaking there. A quick oversight. So Moldova, it's located in the northeast of Romania and it's surrounded by Ukraine with the Black Sea underneath. They've been doing wines for about 6,000 years. They know of this. It's just across the Black Sea from Georgia. Georgia's been doing it for 7,000 to 8,000 years. And they share a similar history of winemaking. They have some similar grapes as well. They use Saperavi extensively in Moldova. But the style is much more what we would know. So Georgian wines tend to be a little bit softer. They're more the natural wine styles. They're created by using amphora. They put the amphora in the ground. They're called kevri. And then they allow wild yeasts and they leave the wine in skin contact in these amphora. And there's very little interaction. There's no real human interaction with them. They're just left for months and months to allow to do their own thing. And then the shape of the amphora actually naturally clarifies. So it's really good if you want these natural sort of wild yeast wines and you want more authentic. That's wine how it would have been made originally. Moldova do it in a more French or Italian style. So a lot of their wineries are famously in the south, they're on the Bordeaux latitude. In the centre, they're more on the Loire Valley. So you get these really good white wines, really good red wines, and they do them with oak. So they add yeast, obviously, to the wine to make the wine ferment, and then they're oak aged. So they're a lot more in that traditional French style. And in fact, Pukari was the first winery in Moldova to win a wine award. And that was at the Paris Expo, and that was 1870 or 1890. Can't remember exactly. But they actually won a award there because they thought it was a new style Bordeaux. And it was only after they gave the award that they realised it was actually a Moldovan wine. So historically, Moldovan wine was exceptionally well received by wine industry. It was well known to be on the tables of all the royalty with it at that time in the 1800s and 1900s. Tsar Nicholas, Queen Victoria, and in fact, Queen Elizabeth II, she brought a lot of Pukari wines, particularly Negru de Pukari. So a lot of these upper levels of society, they really knew the value and quality of these wines. With the Soviet Union takeover, obviously at the end of the Second World War up until 1990, a lot of that was lost. So a lot of these countries, like same with Georgia as well, they're having to rebuild that reputation that they lost. But if you look historically, they're actually the basin of wine. And a lot of the countries that would say are synonymous with wine, France, Greece, Italy, they actually took wine from Moldova and from Georgia. So, yeah, there's a bit of a misconception, I suppose, with Moldova. There's a lot of misunderstanding and people just don't know the wines. But actually, once you start to dig into the history and start to dig into the background, I mean, Moldova's got 4,500, 5,000 years extra history on wine over the French. It's just we were cut off for it for so long that we know French wine. It's just across the water. We were pushed through with thousands and thousands, if not millions of litres of wine from there. So obviously they're going to sell a narrative. Moldova was cut off. They spent most of their wine was going out to Russia. And so now it's all about rebuilding that reputation and getting people to know in this country. And I think, well, from experience, when we've done wine events, we generally get voted to be some of the best on the night, if not the best. Everyone who tries the wine ends up saying, actually, they're surprised just how good it is. And that's just because people don't know the wine. So there's always that connotation. If I don't know the wine from this country, it's probably going to be bad. And that's not at all true. It's more a case of you don't know the wine from this country because they haven't been selling it over here for the last 70 years. But now they are. Now they're winning awards. I put a post just the other day saying that they've won in the last 5 years, 7,000 awards in the wine industry. So they're very well known within the wine industry and they're very well known within the trade. And they are growing, but it's about growing their reputation to the general public, which is the challenge that we're currently facing. And I think if more and more people started to be a little bit more adventurous and saying, you know, I'm not going to buy something I know for £15 from the supermarket, which is generally, I mean, if you're buying a Bordeaux at £15, it's certainly not a Santamelion, or if it has got Santamelion on it, it's something that they wouldn't drink. Because when I've been there, if you were spending do a £30 a bottle and finding something, you were doing very well, because I couldn't find it. So to be in the UK with UK excise and be £15 a bottle, it's unheard of. It must be the lowest quality Bordeaux that the French won't drink, and that's why they're sending it to us. It just does not exist. So I would say, for the sake of £15 to £18, the quality level you'll get with Moldovan wine is substantially above. So we're talking, if it was a French labelled wine with Chateau Pocari. So for instance, if I take this Saperavi de Pocari, so this wine, we sell it for just under £23, £22.95. If that had a French appellation label on, with the quality that that's made of, you wouldn't be getting it for under £70, £80 a bottle. And that's just a fact. But because it's Moldovan, because people don't know the area, the prices are so much lower. So if you want value for money and quality for your money, sometimes you need to look at not at the appellations that people tell you are fantastic. If you're very well off and you can afford to spend £70, £80, £90 a bottle, by all means go to those appellations, because you will get really good wine. But if you're an average consumer and you're looking to spend £15 a bottle, go to Moldova. You're going to get much more value for money. You'll be amazed at what you're getting for £15. Same as if you buy a Chateauneuf de Pape. Now, you can buy a Chateauneuf de Pape for £15 to £20 a bottle. It's okay, it's drinkable. But you buy this in the £20 range, you'll be blown away with the quality of that. It's significantly better than a low-end Chateauneuf de Pape. But that's not to say Chateauneuf de Pape's bad. That's very good wine. But if you want a real one, you're talking £50, £60 a bottle to be getting actual quality. This wine is of that quality, and you're getting it for £23. So sometimes try and look for those countries that you wouldn't necessarily think of, especially countries that have the history, because you may well be surprised at what you can get.